Most of the time, this conversation is happening with people that don't know both sides, people that don't understand what it's like to actually be in college and what it's like to be a professor, also what it's like to have a career in musical theater long term. That's the benefit that I have in the unique understanding and voice that I can share with you today. Both of my degrees are in musical theater. I have a bachelor's of music in musical theater, and I have an MFA, a master's of fine arts in musical theater. I've been a college professor for almost a decade, and I have done all the things. So before we dive into a debate, let's explore the undeniable benefits of pursuing an education in musical theater at the college level. Training and technique is up first. College programs offer a structured curriculum of training that honestly is hard to get anywhere else. And I say that because you're in college for 4, maybe 5, if you were like me, for undergrad, and you're there and they tell you exactly what to take. They tell you how to take it, when to take it. It is very specific and structured, which allows you the time to really focus on what matters the most, which is your craft. You get to say, I am going to enroll in this one program and pay this fee. I mean, we're going to get to the fees, just hold on. But you're going to say for the next 4 years or 5 years or whatever the year may be for you, I am going to really go all in on this training and be guided by this program and this specific curriculum. That gives you the ability to have voice lessons, coaching, acting classes, dance classes, explore other types of art that you might be interested in, a musician class. If you're at a liberal arts college, you get the opportunity to maybe even be a part of other organizations. If you are a part of sororities or fraternities, if you want to be a part of sports and you're on a team, if you want to explore other minors or focuses while you're in college, that is the benefit of going to a program and having a specific curriculum and really focusing in on that time on your education and training. It also gives you the space to say, I am going to just really keep my mind here, focused on training, focused on being the best performer that I can be in this industry and letting everything else kind of take a back seat for a little bit. When else do you get that in life, right? When else do you get that to be able to say, here I am, give me the training? And that's really the benefit of going to a 4-year program, or not just a 4-year program, because there are 2-year programs, there are conservatories, there are community colleges, there are certificates, all of the jazz. But in essence, it's a specific curriculum and training set aside for you to really hone your craft. Networking and community. One of the best parts about going to a college program and training in musical theater is that you are put in this group of like-minded people all on a somewhat similar path, because none of our paths are like exactly the same, right? But on a similar path, that gives you the opportunity to engage in conversations, engage in dialogue that you might not have the opportunity if you weren't surrounded by those people's on a daily basis. The great part that you don't realize until you get a bit older is that those relationships and those connections, they will come back to you. I have really dear friends that I don't talk to all the time now because I've been out of college for so long. But many of them have gone on to be directors, producers. They have worked all over the world, on Broadway, off Broadway, in regional theaters, in community theaters, in places all over that sometimes don't even lead to theater. But it's really nice to have those communities where you can go back and say, hey, remember when we worked on that project in undergrad? I am so honored to have spent that time with you because now you are a Broadway producer. And like that literally happened to me. So shout out to a friend that, if you know who you are, you know who you are, helped me produce one of my senior projects in undergrad, and now he's a Broadway producer. So you just never know, but it gives you that space to really be around people that are passionate about musical theater, which is also very cool because you get to geek out all the things that no one else really knows, and the lines and the dialogue. I mean, come on, you know what I'm talking about, right? Performance opportunities. When you're in a college program, you are given the opportunity to audition and be considered for performances. Some of them are main stage, some of them are smaller, some of them are workshops, some of them are collaborations with guest artists, whatever it may be. You are given the space to say, here are a bunch of productions that are meant for college students in this program. Sometimes you can work on new works, depending on your college and what's brought in. Sometimes you may get the opportunity to play a role that you would never play in the real world because, we have to cast people in roles that are, a bit older than them, perhaps a bit younger than them, because we're just focused on that pool of people in that college. So it gives you the opportunity to explore other roles that maybe you realize you don't want to play those types of roles, or you don't want to tell those types of stories. And college gives you the space to do that. Some theaters even have connections with local equity houses. So especially, this is grad school, like huge for grad school programs, where you can work in tandem with the company like the Old Globe or La Jolla in California. I went to grad school at SDSU, so that was some of the connections. But really, it gives you the chance and the experience to be connected to theaters without knowing any of that information or having those connections right when you start out in your training process. The time has come. Let's address the other side of the coin and the potential drawbacks of investing in a musical theater training education at the college level. I need some coffee for this one, okay? Gotta start with the obvious: cost and debt. Listen, I went to undergrad many moons ago where you could affordably somewhat go to college, but I didn't go to like a really well-known program. It's not even really well-known now. I went to a program that I knew I could afford, and that was accessible to me at the time. College tuition expenses are a significant amount of money, especially right now. It is crucial for you to weigh the options of debt. And is that going to be something that is going to be worthwhile to you? Is this even accessible to you? And is the investment going to be something that you are not going to carry for so long in your life? Now, please hear me when I say this. The investment of training is something that you will, investing in yourself, you will always get back tenfold. It's obvious how expensive college is. Can you get grants? Can you get scholarships? What is it going to cost for you to live in that? Can you live with a family or a friend? Are you in state? Are you out of state? When I went to grad school, I had my first year, I got a ton of grants because I was a California resident. And so like my whole first year of grad school was pretty much completely paid for from the state. But the second year of grad school, I got married, which shifted my income bracket, which shifted everything. And I had to pay everything for grad school out of pocket. So I still have a massive amount of debt from grad school. It was worth it for me. You have to make the decision of if it is worth it for you now in this time period. The other side of this conversation is alternative paths, because you don't have to go to college to be in the industry. I haven't said that yet, but maybe I should say that again. You don't have to go to college to be a musical theater performer. Our conversation is, is it worth it? But the underlying determination is it worth it for you? That's the main point here. So if we're talking about debt, we're also talking about alternative paths, because if you're sitting there thinking, I hear you on all of the benefits to programs, connections, networking, performances, training. I hear you, Ashley, but there's absolutely zero way that is going to be accessible for me to go to college. There's no way. Then start thinking about other alternative paths, meaning maybe you can't spend 2, 3, 4, 5 years super focused, hyper focused on your training. But how can you still train and get experience that will help you move forward in your career? But it is the reason why I got to where I got to today in my life, in my career. I'll talk more about that later, but let me continue on with alternative paths. You can go to community colleges and take classes. You can get a certificate in your area, especially in California. I spent the last decade teaching at the college level in California, and there is an extreme investment in that state into education. Now, it depends on where you are and where you're from and what resources you have available to you. But alternative paths could be you just taking your own dance classes. It could be you just training as a singer. It could be you training by actually auditioning and doing the thing. That's something that not a lot of people talk about, but is valuable as well. So I'm going to go back to ask you, what is going to be your best path when you weigh the pros and cons? Oftentimes, you might consider the wrong type of program because of what society has put out into the world. Now, what do I mean by that? You know, all those lists, those articles, those blogs that come out and they're like, these are the best top 10 musical BFA theater programs in the world. I don't even know what those are based on, but here's my encouragement for you. Seek out a program that is going to benefit you rather than what the results have been for other people that have graduated. Because you are not the same person as me. You are not the same person as, whoever it is that graduated and now they have a budding Broadway career. You don't know the back end of that story. There are programs out there that are going to be very helpful for you, and then there are programs out there that are not going to be helpful for you. College programs tend to have a very competitive nature to them. They also tend to have a results-driven mission, meaning how many of them have been on Broadway? How many of them are working right now? What you're not seeing on the other end is all the other folks that aren't out in the limelight because they have not had the biggest, best Broadway career of all time. Okay. And if you want to have training in this industry, in this career at the college level, you have to find the right one for you. If that's a liberal arts college, if that's a conservatory, if that's one that specializes in multi-hyphenate disciplines and offering different type of encouragement and different type of exploration during your training. You have to find what's right for you. Let's talk about industry realities next. Having a degree does not guarantee you success in this field. Having a degree on the other side of this can also give you the tools to understand how to navigate this industry, where it is right now, which is very different than where it was 3 years ago. Having a degree is going to give you an idea of the technique and the skills that might benefit you. But there's both sides to the coin of this. There's pros and cons. What you really need to decide is it going to be worth it for you right now in the long run? Success in this industry is about continuing to hone your craft, dedication, networking, and really making meaningful relationships that are going to help you and benefit you. And also keeping a mindset that your career is going to shift and change. But training and technique and having a mindset of, I know who I am right now, or I don't know who I am right now, and I'm going to discover it and make mistakes along the way and be okay with that. So is going to college for musical theater worth it? This is not a one-size-fits-all answer. This is not a one-size-fits-all solution. It ultimately depends on your goals, your financial means, and the way that you learn best. Because it's not going to be worth it for you to go to a college program when you don't learn really well the way that they're teaching it. And every program is different. And every faculty is made up of different people. And every mission of every program is different. You may not even know what a BFA compared to a BM, compared to a BA, compared to a boat is. I did it. I did not know when I was getting my BM in musical theater. I was like, BM, I don't care. It's a degree. I'm getting training. That's all I cared about. And I went to a school that was accessible to me and that I knew that I was comfortable with. That's it. Because I did not know anything about the high level BFA programs. I grew up in a small town in Oklahoma. So I didn't know about BOCO or Ithaca or Penn or Pace or NYU or AMDA or any of these. I didn't know about that. I was not exposed to any of that. All I knew was I wanted to train some type in performing because that's what I had done my entire life. So you may not really fully understand yet, but at least this conversation gives you the tools to think about, is it going to be something that's going to be beneficial for me or not? And is this going to be accessible for me or not? When I went to grad school, I had to make the decision of why was I going to grad school? If I was just going to go to grad school to be a better performer, then I could save my time, my money, and energy and just go train all day, every day. But I went to grad school because I wanted to train in being a performer, in being an educator, and being a coach, specifically at the college level, because I wanted to be a professor. So that's why I went to grad school. It fit all of those things for me at the time in my life. And I had the space for it. And I had the mindset for it because I had been out of undergrad for quite some time. I had been performing all over and I I felt like I was at the next place and the next space in my life when going to grad school was good for me. So you really do have to weigh the options. It's not for everybody, but it's up to you. You are in control. It's your decision. And if this was helpful for you, give it a like, give it a thumbs up, and come back for more content because I got more coming out every single week about musical theater. All right. Cheers to you.